Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Pianist. And it is, of course, the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start with our shaker. To that, we're going to add 3 raspberries, 2 blackberries, half a bar spoon of blueberries. I don't know. That's like, I don't know. 2. I don't know. Into a shaker. Then we're going to add 3 bar spoons of black currant and muddle. I think that's probably, I don't know, about an ounce. That's about right. Then we muddle. Then we're going to add a half an ounce of lemon juice from the plastic lemon. Third of an ounce, basically simple syrup. Third. That's about right. One ounce cherry juice. Hope if I could get it in the measuring glass. And finally, gin. 1 1/2 ounces. This is first alcohol we've had. It's all been fruit to make it healthy. Then we fill the shaker with ice. And we shake. And we take our chilled cocktail glass. And we finely strain into the cocktail glass. There you have it, boys and girls. The Pianist. It's a very lovely purple, dark purple. Very fruity and berry. thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Greg and I don't always agree on the strengths and weaknesses of the movies we watch. And that is definitely the case on this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, The Mephisto Waltz. Personally, I think Jacqueline Bisset is the anchor of the film and handles it like a pro. He thinks she isn't up to the task. Greg really liked Alan Alda's performance, and I just couldn't get past Hawkeye Pierce. There's just no evil there. But no matter how you look at it, there is demonic possession, and we can both agree on that. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different yet highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm doing great. How are you, Greg?
I'm okay, Karen.
Just okay?
Yes.
He's mad because he has to listen to my dog chew a bone in the background. It's driving him crazy.
It is. I'm sorry. It'll be fine.
Tyler's having fun. So if you hear it, I apologize. I'm hoping he'll finish it soon.
Well, I might bring up Tyler later in the podcast, Karen. Actually, I'm making a note right now.
Well, it's not a plot one.
Don't ruin it. Karen, I believe this film was your choice. Was it not?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for?
I have chosen the 1971 Mephisto Waltz.
Any reason you chose this film, Karen?
This movie stars Jacqueline Bisset, and her birthday is 2 days after this comes out.
It is, Karen. Do we have a cocktail to go with it?
We do.
And what would that be?
It's called The Pianist.
And how will we make that cocktail?
Place 3 raspberries, 2 blackberries, and some blueberries into a shaker. This is what I did. Add a little bit of, I had black raspberry syrup and muddled.
The recipe calls for black
currant.
And I bought it and I muddled with it.
Okay. You pour in 0.5 ounces of lemon juice, 0.35 ounces of simple syrup, sugar syrup, 1 ounce of cherry juice, and 1.5 ounces of gin. Fill the shaker with ice cubes and shake and finely strain. That's an important detail.
It is.
Finely strain into a chilled cocktail glass. You can garnish with some red currant.
Yeah, because you're muddling berries. So
blackberries for sure. So mine is not as finely strained as it could be.
I did a pretty good job.
I think it's delicious. It's gin and juice. I mean, there's some lemon in there that really highlights the berries, so I think that's nice.
Yeah,
but I didn't strain it as finely as I should have. It's okay, I don't mind it, but mine would clog a straw if you were drinking it with a straw.
All right, should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own cocktail, Karen?
Absolutely.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis of this film for us?
I do.
Go on. Tell us a story.
A frustrated pianist himself, music journalist Miles Clarkson is thrilled to interview virtuoso Duncan Ely. Duncan, however, is terminally ill and not much interested in Miles until noticing that Miles's hands are ideally suited for piano. Suddenly, he can't get enough of his new friend, and Miles's wife, Paula, becomes suspicious of Duncan's intentions. Her suspicions grow when Duncan dies, and Miles mysteriously becomes a virtuoso overnight.
Thank you, Karen. We are a match. Karen, tell me everything you really enjoyed in this Satanic Panic film from 1971.
Well, I have questions.
Okay.
And I can't.
It's Satanic Panic, so I have answers.
Well, I can't really say whether I like some things about the film without having the questions answered. But if I ask the questions, I kind of ruin the film for other people who are listening.
Okay.
So I'll go through at the beginning and just say what I liked without
don't ask questions
involving that. But I'm quite confused by this movie, to be honest.
That makes sense, Karen. Makes sense.
So what I liked the use of color throughout the film. There's some rooms that she goes into and they're red walls and like they used color a lot. There's the blue color when she's outside. There's lots of color in the credits. It carries through the whole film, the use of color, and I liked it. The story was okay. It's not very atypical of a Satanic Panic story, but it was okay. I thought Jacqueline Bisset is gorgeous and also very good in the movie, probably the best part of the movie for me. It's slightly suspenseful, sort of, sometimes. And there's some mirror shots in it that are pretty good. So they're trying different things. There's some odd camera angles and some use of mirrors that are interesting. I'd say that's pretty much it. Do you have anything that you liked?
Yes, I do, Karen. Thank you for asking. So I like the story. I thought the story was fine. I thought the acting was good, except for Jacqueline Bisset.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and maybe I shouldn't get to it. I'll talk about it maybe in things I didn't like, but she was the weakest, I felt. There were some good shots. I agreed. I made note of mirrors. But there were some nice shots and nice scenery, nice sets. I didn't really put the color thing together because it's 1971, Karen. Everything was colorful in the 70s, right?
Well, but I think there's some symbolism there. Like she walks in the room and it lights up red.
Is.
And, yeah,
Probably is. Yeah, I think that's all I have. I believe it was filmed in California, wasn't it, Karen?
Looks like it.
It's California coast. Anything you didn't like?
There's some holes in the story that I found difficult to put together. There's some abrupt changes. There's just holes in it. Things that are confusing to me. It's very slow. I thought too long. Didn't need to be as long as it was. It's almost 2 hours long. I thought Alan Alda was the weakest link. Maybe it's because I know him as Hawkeye and I can't see him as
let it go, Karen. Let it go.
Anything else. I didn't see some actors when they played two different parts as the same person. You can really see a difference in their demeanor and stuff. His was slight, but I didn't really, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it could be a personal thing because I just didn't see him I didn't like him in it. The other girl, Roxanne, there's another woman that's the main character. She was pretty, but I thought she was, I don't know, what's the right word? Vacant or something. She didn't really have much to do. Well, she did, but she didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, she was pretty integral, I think.
Yeah, but I just felt like she could have been anyone. I don't know. I don't know. Overall, I didn't really like it that much. Too slow, too confusing, it was like it was slapped together or something. Did you love it? And you have nothing bad to say about it?
No, I have bad things to say about it, Karen. So going back to the acting. So you thought Alan Alda was the worst. I thought Jacqueline Bisset was the worst. So she's kind of expected to carry this film. I mean, she's the main character. She's on screen 90% of the time. And she didn't. She could.
I think part of it is her stories just, it doesn't really make any sense.
No, it makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
She wasn't very good. She wasn't very good.
All right.
It was too long, like a half hour too long. I'll tell you in my notes every time I time checked, but I checked at least twice, maybe 3 times. And the first time it was only half over, Karen. I was like, oh shit, it's only half over. This is a Quinn Martin production, Karen. Have you ever recognize that name, Quinn Martin?
No.
He was an American television producer, Karen.
Is this his first movie?
I didn't know he made any movies. I mean, I saw that and I'm like, ooh, Quinn Martin. His only feature film was this film, Karen.
I can see why it's his only
feature
one.
film. But he did, if I ever watched The Fugitive or 12 O'Clock High or Cannon or Streets of San Francisco or Barnaby
They're a little
Jones.
too early for us.
So on and so forth. So he did lots of television series from like 1960 to 1980. This was his only film.
I think this film had so much potential, and I'm not sure where it went wrong. I don't know if it was the writing, the directing, the act. I don't know what they just didn't quite pull it off. But it has such potential.
It does, but it feels like a
made for TV movie.
drama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except you got some tits in there.
True.
That's it. Other than that, and some sexual content. A little bit mixed in with the tits. All I have, I think, for things I didn't like. Didn't like the dog, Karen. I'm just gonna put it out there now. Didn't like the dog.
No, black labs are not vicious.
No, Karen, they're not. I can't.
I mean, I'm sure they can be. But it just didn't look the same.
So there's a dog in it, right? That's supposed to be evil, right? Or the evil people's lackey, or the evil people's pet, right? And now we would think, well, that's got to be a Rottweiler, right? Or at least a
Doberman. Yeah.
But probably a Rottweiler. And you know why, Karen?
Because of The Omen.
Because of The Omen in 1976.
Oh, well, there you go.
They tried. 1971. If this would have been made post The Omen, it would have been a Rottweiler. I guarantee you.
True.
So I didn't really like that. But other than that, story was kind of convoluted. It was kind of hard to understand, maybe, or made you have questions at the end.
I had questions from the beginning.
Okay. All right. Anything else you didn't like?
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, Karen, before we move on to our cocktail rating, would you like to hear a review from The Time, or 2, or 3?
Sure. Maybe it'll change my cocktail rating.
Okay. I do have 3 reviews, but I'm only going to read 2 of them, I think. But first, I have to tell you, Karen, this has a 63% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. What do you think Google users think, Karen?
I'm going to say 68.
73%.
Oh, I was going to say 72, but see, I still would have been wrong.
All right. Like I said, I have 3 views. I'm not going to read Roger Ebert, because I always do. So I'm going to start with the New York Times, Karen. Howard Thompson. He's apparently a famous film critic in New York. I don't know. From April 10th, 1971. And this film was released the end of March. Shift Rosemary's Baby to California with the nice young couple abruptly exposed to some chic jet-set zombies, including the world's greatest pianist. When this old demon dies, the husband acquires both his soul and pianistic genius, pounding out lists to prove it. The sensible wife, who squares off early with the old musician's horrible dog, expects and gets the worst with a couple of murders. Add some angular photography and a spooky haunted house score, pelting us in a miserably infantile botch of occult suspense titled The Mephisto Waltz. This picture opening yesterday is terrible.
Well, cut to the chase.
That's right. Don't mince words, Howard. Tell us
You
how
read
you
my
feel.
mind, though.
Style and subtlety might have done the trick this time, whatever the merits of Fred Mustard Stewart's novel. I saw that. Fred Mustard Stewart. Would you use that as
That's
a pen name?
I was going to say that's a rough grade school name, but go ahead.
Yes. But this shrill, heavy-handed exercise only makes us appreciate Rosemary's Baby all over again. Are there good things here? Several. One is the candid, clear-eyed performance of Jacqueline Bisset as the anguished wife. And he says in parentheses, "Hello again, Mia," referring to Rosemary's Baby. Some of the color interiors are handsome. Howard agrees with you a lot, it sounds like.
Yeah, I like Howard.
The casting of Kurt Jurgens as the nasty old genius is interesting. I thought I loved him. It's intriguing, too, to hear Liszt's Mephisto handbreaker pinched out thematically and surfacing the clanky swirl of spook music added by Jerry Goldsmith. Karen, there's that name again. However, Alan Alda as the supposedly satanic hero seems nothing more than a genial, naive climber. As his witchy seducer, Barbara Perkins purrs acceptably. Bradford Dillman is lost as a sideline doctor. At one point, before the goblins close in, Miss Bisset casually says, "The laundry didn't come back." "Oh, yes, it did." From Rosemary's. He's so clever, Howard. I have another review, Karen. It's from the Cleveland Press, from right here in the good old Buckeye State. Dated April 30th, 1971. Take a little witchcraft mixed with satanic worship, spice, and a dash of incest. Play it against the piano music of Franz Liszt, and you have Mephisto Waltz, son of Rosemary's Baby. This picture not only deals made with the devil, but with double dealing with the aid of Satan as well. There's lots of assonance in that sentence. Jacqueline Bisset is the heroine of Mephisto Waltz, and it is the best work yet in the uneven career of this actress. She plays the role as if Mephistopheles himself were off camera, scaring her on. Alan Alda is her husband in the picture. He is a one-time pianist turned writer, and during an interview with Kurt Jurgens, the world's greatest living pianist, his hands come under the scrutiny of the great fan. The Great One is about to die and has a scheme with the devil to perpetuate his talents by inhabiting Alda's body. He is aided by his daughter, Barbara Perkins, with whom he is having an incestuous relationship. The switch is made, and there's Alda, an evil gleam in his eye and talent in his fingertips, a husband that Miss Bisset is a little anxious about. She should be. All sorts of devilish schemes are cooking, including the death of their child, fantastic nightmares, and her own possible demise. Miss Bisset strikes her own deal with the devil, and the result is a grisly, happy ending. Mephisto Waltz has a slow start, but picks up speed before too long. Unlike Rosemary's Baby, there is no either-or alternatives during the bulk of the story. The audience is never left in doubt that these are the forces of evil. If anything, this sometimes becomes overly obvious. The cast performs well with an energy that belies the obvious outcome. So there you go. What kind of cocktail rating do you want to give this film?
I think it's a 4. I don't think it's very good.
Okay, I'll agree, Karen.
It's okay. Rosemary's Baby is much better.
Much, much better, but longer as well, I think. But maybe doesn't seem as long.
I think you're right. I think it does play like it almost feels like it could have been a series or something. Almost like fade out, fade in, and then the next episode, it doesn't fade out and in, but you could do that. There are almost episodes in it where you could have had, a 4-night
miniseries.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Yes.
ABC presents the Mephisto Waltz. A 4-night spectacular.
Scare fest or something,
True. I agree with that. All right, 4 cocktails. Anything else before we move on?
No, it's not difficult to watch or anything. I think it was so frustrating to me where things weren't making sense to me. And then they just kept getting worse and worse. Couldn't figure any of it out. And you know how that frustrates me.
All right, are we ready to move on to going through the film scene by scene, Karen?
Sure, let's do that.
The 5 pages of notes I have here. All right, The Mephisto Waltz from 1971, rated R, Karen. I had no other warnings. I watched on Amazon Prime. Did you?
Yes.
No other warnings.
Not only have I not seen this before, I've never heard of it.
I think I had heard of it, but I knew nothing about it.
But when I read what the summary and things, I thought, oh, this is going to be good.
It's a Quinn Martin production, which is the first note I have written down. Quinn Martin. It's a Quinn Martin production because I watched all of those old crime dramas back in the day, Karen. On reruns, of course, Karen.
Of course.
And we have credits, and then I wrote Jerry Goldsmith. He composes a lot of the music in a lot of the films that we do, or a lot of the ones from this time period anyway. And then after the credits, we cut to who we learn as Miles and his wife Paula in bed. And there's a blue jay and a bunch of cats going off in the background.
Yeah, she wakes up and he wants to continue to sleep.
But then there's a phone call, Karen, and it's Duncan Eli.
And their daughter, Abby, answers the phone.
Tells whoever's calling that parents are both asleep, and she asks, who may I ask is calling? And it's Duncan Eli, who's played by Kerr Jurgens, like I said. I recognize him from several other films. He was a James Bond villain. But I did not know, Karen, until I researched him for this film, that his birthday is December 13th.
Oh, look at that.
So he and I, we have a bond, apparently.
I think he's a little older than you, though.
He is. Well, he's a lot older than me, Karen.
I know.
So next we see Miles driving away from the house.
In a station wagon, an old station wagon.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was old back then, but it's a station wagon.
It looked like it looked old for 1971.
Little beat up. So what we're seeing is they're a happy couple. They're in bed together. They're married. You see their wedding rings. They have a daughter.
Let me ask you this. Is this the same house we see later? Or does this house get better?
Creepier.
Better. Nicer.
No, I think it's this. Well, it gets better a little later, but
okay.
But
all right.
He's driving an older car. He forgets his tape recorder. She runs after him. So he's a little absent-minded. They don't have a lot of money, but they're a happy little family. That's kind of what the opening scenes are showing us.
But he's being absent-mindedly and rushing away because Duncan Eli is like the greatest pianist in the world or whatever in this film.
And he's agreed to meet him.
Yeah. So Miles, played by Alan Alda, arrives at Duncan's house, but he has to wait until he has finished playing the piano, and then the butler shows him in.
Yeah, looks like he's some kind of journalist.
And I don't know a lot about Franz Liszt, but he must have composed some pretty chaotic shit, Karen. Because all the music, piano music in this film is pretty chaotic, I would call it. So there you go. And as my reviews said, the Mephisto thing is like a Franz Liszt composition. So then Miles goes in and talks to Duncan. Duncan agrees to give Miles 30 minutes for an interview.
Yeah, he says it's the Mephisto Waltz, the devil dancing with his paramour. That's what it's supposed to be about.
So then Miles begins to smoke a Marlboro, but Duncan stops him.
Yes.
And Miles tries to start his tape recorder, and he's having problems. But then Duncan notices his hands.
Yes, and that's a big deal. So I looked up, are pianists' hands different? Is there something about them that makes them different? Looking at a range of recent data on hand lengths and widths, there is no apparent difference between pianists and general adult populations in terms of hand length, though pianists' hands tend to be narrower. And just for what is the average hand size of a pianist, maybe around 8 to 9 inches. It's how far you can spread your fingers on the piano, though. So it's not necessarily, it's more about flexibility than size or shape of the hands. But he's looking, because when they were holding up Alan Alda's hands, Miles's hands, they look kind of stubby to me to be capable of doing that.
He has pretty good hands. Alan Alda, I think he has good hands.
But it's not about, I always thought pianists had long, slender fingers, but it's more about flexibility than size or shape. So,
but Duncan asks him if he ever played the piano, and Miles says, yeah, he studied 4 years at Juilliard. So
he was good.
That's pretty impressive.
So the Juilliard School is a private performing arts conservatory in New York City. I'm sure you know this, but founded by Frank Damrosch as the Institute of Musical Arts in 1905. The school later added dance and drama programs that became the Juilliard School, named after its principal benefactor, Augustus D. Juilliard. So the school is composed of 3 primary academic divisions: dance, drama, and music, of which the last is the largest and oldest. Juilliard offers degrees for undergraduate and graduate students in liberal arts courses, non-degree diplomas for professional artists, and musical training for pre-college students. It has 1 campus at Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. They have about 950 students, and the acceptance rate is only 11% of applicants, but the graduation rate is 98%. So if you get in, you have a good chance of graduating, but it's hard to get in.
Then Duncan's daughter enters, and Duncan wants his daughter to see.
Well, I think he sends the butler to go get his daughter because he's so enthralled with his hands.
So then Duncan asks Miles if he can stretch to a 10th. You know what that means, Karen?
It's a full scale, right?
It's more than a full scale.
Oh, it's more? I don't know.
Yes. A full scale is 8 notes.
Okay.
So he can stretch more than an octave, basically.
But we see Duncan taking pills also. And then he says, go get my daughter. And she comes back in. And Miles does say after a disastrous concert at Juilliard, he drank a lot and then became a musical journalist.
Then Miles plays the piano to show how far he can stretch. A 10th, I guess, more than an octave. Roxanne comes in, the daughter, and Duncan tells her Miles has great hands, and Roxanne agrees, Karen.
And Miles is taken with Roxanne a little bit. You can see.
Then we have a dinner party.
Yeah, we just cut to a dinner party.
Yep. Episode 2.
Yes, dinner party. See, that's what I'm saying.
And I wrote, Duncan seems very interested in Paula, Miles' wife. And
yeah, they're separated. Miles and his wife are not sitting together at the dinner party.
Then Duncan and Miles play a duet on the piano. And I wrote, Miles appears to be sight reading, but Duncan is playing by memory. But then I wrote, although Miles is sight reading, if he was really that good, he would not be looking at his hands because he keeps glancing up from the music down to his hands, right?
Do you think it's really Alan Alda? Can't be.
He's not playing, no, but he does a good job. I mentioned later in here that he does a good job faking it.
You don't think it was someone else, like a
double
in there?
No, I don't think so. But he does a good job of faking it. You know, it's like typing class, Karen, where you had to put the paper over your hands so you couldn't see what you were typing, like 100 years ago when we took typing. The same thing. If you're a really good pianist, you don't need to look at your hands. You just read the music and play. But everyone is impressed.
Everyone claps.
And then
Paula wants to leave.
Yeah, Miles and Paula leaving the party. And a big black lab isn't fond of Paula. I wrote.
Nope, growls at her.
I wasn't even sure it was a lab at this point.
Looks like it is, though.
It looks like a black lab. It's not a Rottweiler for sure. So then we see Paula is opening a store, and it's right before Christmas, but the store isn't doing well. This whole scene didn't even need to be here.
I know. This is episode 3, but apparently they call her a housewife later.
Yeah.
But here she's a boutique owner.
Right.
And they're not selling much. And then Duncan shows up with a bunch of women and they spend a ton of money. And it really annoys the piss out of her that they do this. She just doesn't get it. But she sort of feels like they're up to something, I think.
And we meet Meg, who I called the babysitter the whole time because
Well, she's the doctor's wife, right?
I don't know. I thought she was the Abby's babysitter, but she's working in the store
Maggie,
here.
right?
Meg, I don't know.
I think they're two different people.
Oh, there is Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie's the doctor's wife and the one who was babysitting, I think. Or maybe I mixed them up. I don't know. You could be right. But her partner at the boutique remembers.
Yeah, she is the babysitter, and
okay.
Put up a picture of her.
I think I mixed the two.
And the lady who is working in the store with her, I believe. But they're spending lots of money. Duncan and his friends, and Paula becomes suspicious. And then Paula's clerk, who I think is Meg, mentions that Duncan's wife was murdered by a dog.
Yes.
So then we cut to Paula and Miles in bed again. Paula smoking a Marlboro. And she wonders why Duncan keeps coming to her store.
I guess he did it more than once, but we didn't see that.
And Paula says that Duncan asks a lot of questions about the family. Paula says she does not want to go to Duncan's house on New Year's Eve, but Miles really wants to go.
Of course he does.
New Year's Eve party, Karen.
Because he said they were going, so they're there.
We see the black lab walking around with a human mask on.
Oh, is that what that was?
And everyone else is wearing animal head masks.
Gotcha.
And there's lots of groovy music playing, I wrote.
There were lots of bird masks.
And then Duncan and his daughter kiss.
I think it's midnight.
And I wrote, not like father and daughter.
No.
No, not at all. Paula leaves the room and there's debauchery going on, I wrote.
Yeah, it's decadent.
She makes her way upstairs and she finds, I wrote death masks, but I guess we find out later they're life masks. I should have known they were because Duncan is one of them, including Duncan, I wrote. And Paula begins to open a cabinet. The dog enters and growls. I wrote, looks like a black lab. Roxanne enters.
But she does see a bottle with blue liquid and a book.
Roxanne enters, and we learn that Roxanne makes life masks. She asks if she can do a life mask of Miles. Paula says that she is not her husband's keeper. You do what you want. And then we cut back to the party, and there's a girl dancing naked. We got two bare breasts, Karen.
She's fully naked.
She is.
Like, hey, Dad, I'm in a movie.
It's not really all that graphic, though, really.
No, it's in the background. But
dark. So then we cut to Roxanne making a life mask of Miles.
Talking about her life. When she was married, she's married twice. She also says she's never called Duncan Dad. Just didn't seem right.
And next thing I have he has not been feeling well.
Duncan comes in and he's not feeling well. The medicine's not helping. And I said, she's rubbing his leg inappropriately.
And Duncan tells his daughter that people should be born at 70 and live their life backwards. So then Miles arrives home and Paula is awake. Paula tells Miles that she hates Roxanne. She does not want them to go there anymore. She's freaked out. Miles tells Paula that Duncan is dying. He has leukemia.
Yes. So, and before that, she says, your face is pink. So then she knows that he did a mask with Roxanne. So leukemia, we've talked about before. I'm just going to do a brief summary. Leukemia is a broad term for cancers of the blood cells. The type of leukemia depends on the type of blood cell that becomes cancer and whether it grows quickly or slowly. Leukemia occurs most often in adults older than 55, but is also the most common cancer in children younger than 15. In the United States overall, now, not back then, 5-year survival rate among people diagnosed with leukemia is 65%. But these statistics vary greatly according to the specific subtype of disease. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia has a 5-year survival rate of 88. Acute lymphocytic leukemia 5-year survival rate is 71. So if they catch it early, you have a pretty good chance now of being treated and
living more than 5 years.
Well, yeah, it depends. All those statistics you have to remember take in all ages and all people in all types of health situations. So, it's hard to really put numbers like that on it. I was just curious.
Hello, boys and girls. Doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show.
Then we see Miles giving blood at Duncan's house, ? I wrote. Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, because they said they kept giving him new blood as treatment. So which you can't just give anybody's blood to anybody, but I think we're overlooking all that.
Okay. So then Roxanne enters and gives him some food. She suggests that Miles take a nap.
So there was a nurse, yes, taking the blood, and then Roxanne comes in, tells the nurse, go have the chef make you something to eat. I'll take care of this. So I don't know if she's going to go in and inject the blood into her dad or what. I didn't quite understand it, but yeah, she said, I just gave blood yesterday, so you're going to feel a little tired and lightheaded. You should take a nap.
And then as she goes to the door and goes to leave, she says, goodbye, Miles.
Yes.
Ominously. So then Roxanne enters while Miles is asleep and performs a ritual, Karen.
So Miles is really out from giving that blood.
Then we cut to, I wrote, Duncan reciting gibberish. Roxanne
I think it's French.
Roxanne making a pentagram on the floor, lighting a black candle. And the next thing I have is, sounds like French.
There's lots of Vaseline on the lens. That's what I wrote because it's all blurry around the edges.
Yes, there is. Then
so this is like a dream sequence. It's like Miles is dreaming and watching what's happening.
And Roxanne gives Duncan a drink. Roxanne wipes his mouth. And right here I wrote, she's dressed a lot like Lee Meriwether as Catwoman.
Yes.
Which I didn't hate. Didn't hate, Karen. Didn't hate it.
No, it's a nice outfit.
Then Roxanne puts Miles's life mask on Duncan's face, and the black candle blows out. Miles wakes up. He's not doing so good, Karen. He looks at himself in a mirror and sees the blue dot on his forehead from the ritual. He wipes it off as hectic piano music plays. Miles makes his way downstairs. We see Roxanne listening to a reel-to-reel tape recording of piano music. Miles looks at his hands.
Which I noticed that Alan Alda was wearing some groovy leather pants.
Yeah, he was. I think Roxanne tells him that was Duncan, the last recording Duncan made or something, some shit like that. It was Duncan she was listening to. That was the hectic piano music. So then Miles arrives at home. He tells Paula that Duncan died, but Miles is in the mood for love, Karen.
Okay, so hold on. So Miles is gone, right? Duncan is in Miles's body, correct? 100%. Is there any? There's no more Miles in there, right?
True.
So how does he know where to go?
Yeah, he knows. It sounds like they've been like friendly for a while.
Yeah, but they haven't been at their. They never show them at their house. They only show them at the mansion.
I know. He can look them up in the white pages, Karen.
But you can't just
back in 1971.
But he doesn't say the right things back to
Karen. If he had the internet, he could pull up the auditor's website and find out exactly where he lives.
But he doesn't have.
It's like you can now. But he could go to the auditor's office. It's public record, even if he's not in the white pages, which I'm sure he is. Which was the telephone book back in the day, boys and girls. All of our names and numbers and addresses were in the telephone book, Karen.
I don't mean just finding the house. I mean knowing where the rooms are and all that stuff. He just seems like there's still little Miles in there, but there isn't.
There is. I don't know. Anyway, they kissy face. And we have a pretty quick shot of a Celtic cross at a cemetery, and then we have the funeral.
Yes, it's the next episode. We're having the funeral.
Yes. And Roxanne is there with the black lab.
Yeah, and she pours the blue liquid on top of the coffin and speaks French.
And right here, I wrote, there's a good shot of the old pallbearers carrying the casket into the tomb.
It's like a mausoleum, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, yeah.
Because they kind of lift up the casket and carry it over the camera. You know what I mean? Like the cameraman's laying on the ground watching it. I thought it was pretty cool. Then we cut to the reading of the will, Karen. Duncan leaves Miles a Steinway piano and all of his musicals, in addition to $100,000 cash, Karen.
Which is a big amount, apparently.
And then I wrote Miles and Roxanne link eyes. Then we see Miles.
But Paul is confused. Like, why would he do that? Especially the money. Sure, maybe the piano, maybe the music, but it seemed odd to her.
Then we see cut to Miles and Paula driving in a convertible, and apparently they're in Mexico, Karen.
Yeah, so they're going to Mexico. She mentions earlier that they should stay home on New Year's Eve and reenact their honeymoon, which they had in Mexico, which was drinking tequila and playing checkers. But one of the reasons we know that they're in Mexico is because there's a mariachi band there.
We also see the word Mexico.
True, but roll with me here.
All right.
The mariachi is an ensemble of musicians that typically play ranchera, the regional Mexican music dating back to at least the 18th century, evolving over time in the countryside of various regions of Western Mexico. The usual mariachi group today consists of as many as 8 violins, 2 trumpets, and at least 1 guitar, and an acoustic bass guitar called a guitarron, and all players taking turns singing lead and doing backup vocals. The musical style began to take on national prominence in the first half of the 20th century with its promotion at presidential inaugurations and on the radio in the 1920s. So, most song lyrics are about machismo, love, betrayal, death, politics, revolutionary heroes, and country life. But they have a history with Mexico, which you learn over the next couple scenes because he doesn't remember any of them.
Then I wrote Miles and Paula kissy face, and I guess they're going to have relations because we see one bare breast and one side boob, Karen.
But they're in a hotel and there's cathedral bells start ringing, and Miles really doesn't like that. He doesn't remember that there's 42 cathedrals in the town. He doesn't remember anything. Like, he doesn't remember that there's something to do with the water pressure. She does ask if he loves her, and he doesn't answer her.
Then we cut to Abby.
The daughter. Miles'
daughter. Yep.
And Paula's daughter.
And apparently she's taking care of the black lab now. Paula arrives home with a piñata, and Paula tells Abby she has to give the dog back to Roxanne.
Yes, the beautiful lady that gave it to her. And Abby's not happy about that.
Paula then tells Meg, who I wrote the babysitter.
See, no, but that's Maggie.
Maggie. I don't know, Mag.
Maggie is staying there with
Maggie.
Well, I think it's Maggie.
It's Maggie.
Who's the doctor's wife.
Yeah, Maggie West. So she is the doctor's wife. You're right. Something else I didn't get. Paula tells Maggie, who is babysitting, that Miles has changed. Paula doesn't want the dog in the house, but Miles says they will keep him. And then
yes, Abby does the old divide and conquer.
Miles then makes reservations at a Japanese restaurant for all of them.
Because they say they have extra hot dogs. He won't eat that anymore, and he starts complaining about their crappy liquor. So you're seeing that he has more refined tastes now.
Then we cut to the restaurant, and Roxanne and her date arrive. And Roxanne gives Miles a key to the house so he can practice on the Steinway.
Because he can't fit it in his own house. And Richard is her date. She says they're going to Bermuda, which Richard doesn't seem to have any indication that he knows that. But he's like, okay.
So then Paula arrives at Duncan's house, I guess, because that's where Miles is practicing, and she gives Miles a telegram. Paula tells Miles he has changed, but she likes it, apparently. Paula asks if he was just playing. Miles says no, it was one of Duncan's last tapes.
She's got a telegram that she brought him since he got $400 for the interview that he did with Duncan, and he's not impressed with that.
But then Paula feels the tape player and it's cold, and she asks why he lied. Just then Roxanne arrives. Miles plays the piano, is what I have next, and he has become very good. And he thanks Duncan for giving him the faith to play. And Roxanne offers to let Miles take over Duncan's concert schedule. And he plays again. Very well, I wrote. Time check, 51 minutes, Karen. It's about half over. Then we see Paula dreaming about the black dog and her Raggedy Ann doll.
Which was Abby's. We saw that earlier.
Yeah. Duncan enters and Duncan goes after Abby. Paula tries to stop him. Right here I wrote there's nice mirror work.
Mm-hmm.
Paula watches on a mirror as Duncan places the blue spot upon Abby's forehead. And then Abby calls for her mommy.
And Duncan says it's part of the bargain.
And Paula wakes up and Abby is there. Abby says she had a bad dream. Paula tells her it's not real. And we cut to pan over to Miles, and he is wide awake laying there with his eyes wide open.
Well, and Paula sees the dot on Abby's forehead.
Then I guess Paula...
So that's the end of that scene. In the next episode, they're at the hospital. But here's my question. This is one of the things that really bothered me. And I think this movie would have been a lot better.
But no, there's more, because I wrote, yeah, Paula finds the blue spot on Abby's forehead, and she is wearing a lovely nightgown.
Sorry. We wouldn't want to miss that.
With nothing
Paula,
underneath, apparently.
Huh?
With nothing underneath, apparently.
Paula, you mean?
Yes.
Not Abby. Yes.
No, Paula.
Just want to clarify.
Paula wearing a lovely nightgown. That's what I have written.
Okay. So Abby is Paula and Miles's daughter. Okay. Yep. Duncan has to kill Abby because it's part of the bargain. This movie would have been a lot better. And this part of it would have made a lot more sense if Miles had made the bargain with the devil. Okay. Miles himself. Miles has no idea. He's dead.
Okay,
he's gone.
I got it.
So why do they have to kill Abby as part of this bargain? What difference? Duncan doesn't give a shit about Abby.
Exactly so.
But part of a bargain would be something, if you make a bargain,
I guess,
and you're paying a high price, it would be like your own kid.
Yes.
Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, Roxanne and Duncan would kill any kid.
Right.
So
that wasn't their own.
Right. So I said, did Miles
it would make more sense to kill the dog.
Right. And I said, did Miles make the bargain and I missed it? Like, because from my understanding, Miles is gone. There is no more Miles, which again plays into more confusion at the end. There's no Miles. He's gone. Yep. He is now possessed by the only person that's there is Duncan. So this part to me made absolutely no sense.
It makes sense. I can see that. But
because they're not punishing Miles, and they are.
I was just watching the movie, Karen. I wasn't going that deep into it, but you're right.
Well, it's like if they and I think it would have been much more interesting if Miles had made the bargain, but not realized that he wouldn't exist anymore, and only Duncan would. Like if he said to the devil, "I want to play. I want to be the greatest pianist." Right?
Yeah.
And he makes a deal with the devil. And then he not only loses himself, but he loses his daughter. That's a way better story than whatever this crap is. Like, I'm like, this is, like he was a victim, basically, in this. Yes. So I don't get why I don't know why they had to kill the kid. But anyway, we haven't gotten there yet. Episode 4? We come back.
We're at the hospital. Apparently, Abby is sick. And the doctor says he has to identify the bug before they can kill it. Another time check. It's only been 6 minutes, Karen. 45 minutes left. Ooh. Paula tells Miles that penicillin did not help. They're not sure what is wrong with Abby. And then Paula asks Miles about the dreams. And as she turns to him, there's a good shot of her with her eyes highlighted in light. Then the doctor comes in, tells them Abby's gone. And I wrote, Miles and Paula don't seem all that upset.
No, that bothered me too.
I get how Miles wouldn't be, but Paula, that's why I said just the worst actress in this.
Well, but I think it's the writing. Like, it's just, she acts more scared. It's the writing or directing. She acts more scared than devastated because she says that they killed her daughter or whatever, but she's afraid, but she's not freaking the.
Yeah, she says they put oil on her forehead and then she runs away. But there is a good shot as she descends down the stairs, down
That
the
are in every
spiral
movie.
stairs thing.
Yes.
But yeah, she's not grieving.
No, she's afraid. They told her to be afraid, not grieving. And that's a weird choice for the movie.
Then Paula tells Miles about the dream she had, and Paula believes that Roxanne is a Satanist. And we see Paula doing research at the library, Karen.
It looked like the same outfit she was in the hospital in to me. I hope it wasn't. I didn't rewind it to see, but
I don't know. But someone from the library brings a big book of newspapers, and then she turns to a page they have marked for her, and then she tears a page out of the newspaper, Karen, about
yes,
townspeople that hung a dog.
It's about the death of the guy's wife.
Yeah, but I didn't know that yet.
But don't rip up those. Don't do that.
Well, they don't even give you that anymore.
They don't give you that anymore, but that would have been a big no-no back in the day. I mean, it was on
microfilm when we were younger, Karen. Now I'm sure it's just internet. But then Paula visits Roxanne's ex-husband, and she asks him if his mother-in-law was murdered by a dog. And we learn that they hung the dog over a stream because the townsfolk did not believe the devil could swim. So they thought the dog was the devil.
Yeah, and this whole part, I don't get, this didn't need to be in here either.
And then Roxanne's ex-husband has her escorted out. I think his name is Bill. Yeah, Bill. So then we see Miles playing a concert. And right here is where I wrote, Alan Alda does a good job of faking it. He's pretty good at moving his hands. And I wrote, all the characters in the film are in the audience. And
his playing was way too long, too. Like,
he gets a standing ovation.
He does.
And then we see Bill, Roxanne's ex-husband, staring at Paula. And we cut to Miles greeting his adoring fans. He's signing autographs, kissing babies, whatnot.
Kissing the girls like Richard Dawson in the Family Feud. But it's a reception.
Yeah. Paula runs into Bill, Roxanne's ex-husband. He says he is not afraid of them, and he gives Paula a matchbook with his number on it. And I wrote, the matchbook cover looks a lot like the carpeting in The Shining in the Stanley Motel. I wrote Stanley Motel, but that's where The Shining took place, or the filming was. So I assume that's the carpeting in the Stanley Motel. But it's from The Shining, which I don't think it was out yet. But anyway.
So Roxanne sees them interacting.
Yeah. She tells Paula that Miles has been offered the rest of Duncan's performances. And then I wrote, Roxanne and her ex-husband have a moment.
Yes, they share words.
As you do, Karen. Paula tells Roxanne she likes her ex-husband, and Roxanne tells him don't, or whatever. It's something like that. Don't.
Next episode.
Yep. We see Paula and Bill driving along the coast, and he tries to explain her dreams to her.
Yeah, you made it up. It's your interpretation, is what he's saying.
And he says there is no devil. Then Bill almost wrecks. They almost go over the cliff. Then we
don't know why. And then.
Yeah, don't know. Then we see Paula at Bill's place.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought they went off together somewhere, like to a love shack. I called it. Like I
think it's his house.
It probably is, but I thought they were just driving down the coast and found a place. And I thought she fell into this so easily.
Maybe, but, I don't know. Maybe they did, but I wrote, she makes herself very comfortable.
Yes.
And she and Bill kissy face. And she says that she keeps thinking that he is Miles, but has a different shape. And then Bill says, once you've had one of them, nothing else will be sufficient. Then Bill reveals that Roxanne had a miscarriage and the child was a monster. I don't know. And that
same day her mother died.
Yeah.
They found her halfway up a mountain in the snow.
Tells Paula the child wasn't his. He believes Duncan was the father.
And it was better that the child died.
Next morning, Paula wakes up in...
Well, wait, he's going outside to get more wood for the fire, he says.
Next morning, Paula wakes up in Bill's house. Bill is out. She calls for him, and she goes look for him and finds him at the bottom of a rocky cliff. He gone. And there's a blue dot on his forehead, Karen. Then we see Paula talking to the police. She says they weren't lovers and she wasn't with him when he died. She tells them she thinks Bill was killed by her husband, but then they tell her Miles is in Chicago. She tells the police someone is using his body and the police think she's a nut. Then we see Paula arriving at home by taxi. Is that right?
Because Bill drove her to the other place.
But is this the same house she was at earlier?
I think so.
Because it's pretty nice. I mean, it's almost
they have money
as nice
now.
as Bill's. Well, that's what I'm asking. Was it different?
Maybe they added art and stuff.
No, it's a nicer house. Aaron, this is...
Oh, I don't know. I didn't notice.
So then she goes in, pours herself a drink, and she finds a note from Miles. The note reads, Chicago concert a smashing success. Stopped off to see you on my way to San Francisco. Sorry I missed you. We'll finish tour in 3 weeks, so until then, all my love, Miles. Paula crumples up the note and throws it across the room. So then she goes to sleep, and her ring begins to glow, Karen.
Which is completely different than any other time.
Yes. It's a ring on her right hand, so it's not her wedding ring or anything.
No, it's red.
It's a red ring, like a ruby. Yeah, I don't know, but apparently she's got a magic ring now. And then Miles and Roxanne enter. I guess this is like a dream sequence again, because like you said, there's Vaseline all over the lens.
Yes.
And Paula is delirious, and Miles says she knows.
She's dreaming about her own death
And says, you killed Bill, you killed Abby, now you want to kill me. And we see Roxanne putting a blue liquid on her finger, and she puts it on Paula's forehead. And then Miles and Roxanne embrace and kissy face. And we have one bare breast, and Miles turns into Duncan, kissing his daughter. So then Paula wakes up with a blue spot on her forehead. She picks up the note and realizes that it is not Miles' handwriting. And then she finds the blue spot on her forehead and washes it off. She goes to the closet and finds a key chain with a dog on it. I don't know what that's about either.
What's the house key?
Okay.
It's the key that Roxanne gave Miles so that he could get into the house.
So she drives in the station wagon to Duncan's house, but someone is in the window because the shades or the curtains move. She enters, and there's a nice shot of her reflection in a grandfather clock. I wrote right here.
Yes. Yeah.
She goes upstairs and tries to pry the lock open on the cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
She grabs the blue liquid.
She takes some. She has a container to pour it into.
Yeah. A window busts open from the wind. She closes it, and then the dog attacks her. She fights with the dog, stabbing it with the letter opener. Then she grabs the blue liquid and the book of spells, Karen.
Yep.
The book of Callus, apparently. Calles. Is that how you say that, Karen?
That's how I would say it.
Okay, well, let's be that then.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but...
So then driving home, she has flashbacks of the dog and becomes disoriented, crashing the station wagon.
No airbags back in the day.
Nope. She crawls out of the car. She rolls across the front bench seat and exits the passenger side.
Into the street and lays on the highway.
Then we cut to the doctor examining her.
That's the next episode.
Dr. West, I guess.
You could see it fading out. She's laying on the street. Boom. Next episode, doctor's examining her.
Previously on the Mephisto Waltz. Tune in next week. Doctor examining her. Dr. West tells her she had a minor stroke, but she's going to be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. You either die or you get better. That's what he said. That's some pretty fancy doctor in there. You either die or you get better. That could apply in a lot of situations, I think.
So then Paula is telling Maggie, that she is afraid. She's afraid they are trying to kill her. Maggie thinks she's crazy. Paula says that Roxanne and Duncan tried to kill her because she knew what they were doing.
Right. Maggie says, basically just believes that Roxanne and Miles are having an affair.
Yeah, she tries to convince her it's all circumstantial evidence, and she tells her to get a divorce. And Paula says no, she wants Miles, whoever he is, even if it's just once more.
Okay, but again, there is no Miles. And presumably,
whoever he is, she says.
But she wants Miles. Just whoever one more time. Is. It doesn't make any sense. Why would she want that old man?
Because it's purely physical.
I guess.
So then we see Paula reading the Book of Callus, which I guess is a spell book, with a black candle in front of a pentagram. She takes off her...
On the hospital floor, like the floor of her hospital room. I thought that was classic.
Yeah, so, and then she undoes her top. I guess she's in a gown, but whatever. She undoes her top. And then she says a bunch of French stuff, ? I wrote. But we don't see any bare breast or anything.
No, but she's basically getting sort of naked.
It is. It's dark and it's mostly shot from breast stuff. So we don't really see anything. And then there's footsteps coming down the hall, and we see the light under the door with the footsteps, and someone enters.
And I said, it should be the doctor, because I thought that would be hilarious. Because there she is with the candle, and she's naked, basically, in the pentagram. But no, it's not the doctor.
Someone enters, and she says, "Master, I'm ready to bargain."
Fade out. Next episode.
Next week.
Yes.
So then Paula arrives at Duncan's house.
Yes.
Again, I said the station wagon seems to be pretty much okay now.
Yeah, it's all fixed.
Oh, there's a little dent, but it's not terrible. And she takes a wrench and wraps a rag around it. And as she's walking past the Rolls Royce, I think it's a Rolls Royce, she busts out the headlight, rings the doorbell. Butler answers, and she tells the butler someone smashed the headlight of the car, but she wants to see Roxanne. So Butler goes out to investigate. So that means she can go see Roxanne. But Roxanne comes down to see Paula. Paula tells Roxanne she made a bargain with the master. Now he is on her side.
Dun, dun, dun.
And she hits Roxanne in the head with the wrench, and she falls down the stairs.
Roxanne falls down the stairs.
Yeah. Then we see Paula taking a needle and draws blood from Roxanne. I guess much like they were taking blood from Miles earlier, right?
Yes, because she's going to need to drink it.
So then Paula takes Roxanne's life mask from the wall, and she goes out on the balcony in a robe. Then we have a scene of Maggie getting flowers for Paula.
Well, and Paula's on the balcony saying, "Miles, help me. Help me, Miles." And I'm like, there is no Miles. Who's she talking to? But
why is Maggie getting flowers?
Because Paula's supposed to still be in the hospital. Or maybe she just got home, so she was going to take her flowers because she's supposed to be at home.
But that scene's not needed either. But we see, I guess it is, because we see next Maggie knocking on the door and calls for Paula. She enters the bedroom. Here we hear water running. She enters the bathroom and finds Paula dead from an apparent suicide with Roxanne's life mask on her face. And here we see two bare breasts, Karen. Next, we see Maggie telling the doctor that they forced her to kill herself.
That's her husband. Yeah, she's talking to her husband.
She shows him the life mask and the book of spells.
I said, Maggie's crying more for Paula than Paula cried for her kid. But she doesn't want anyone to know that Paula believed in Satanism.
Right. So then we cut back to Duncan's house, I guess, and we see Roxanne smoking a Marlboro. Miles arrives. Roxanne greets him wearing a sheer outfit at the top of the stairs. Miles tells her that Paula is dead.
He's all giddy about it because it's suicide.
Then they kiss and...
Well, she says she's changed her perfume.
Yes, she says she changed her perfume, and it was the same as Paula used to wear, and Miles says he hated it. But they kissy face.
But he's Duncan now.
is, and she's
So,
Paula.
yeah, but so he wouldn't necessarily have known her perfume from before.
He would, because he went to the store many times and had them over many times.
I guess.
Credits the end. So I don't think Duncan knows that it's Paula.
Not yet. But the thing, okay, so here's the other thing, which is overthinking it, of course. But they're switching souls around all this time. Duncan might not really be Roxanne's father, depending on how many deals have been made in different situations. But I think we're supposed to think that because that's obviously evil. So,
yes. Well,
and no,
I
don't
know
think
that her mother died. I mean, there's record of when she died, and that.
Yeah, so Roxanne could be her mother.
That's true.
But that's way overthinking it. I get it. But I don't think Duncan knows it's Paula and not Roxanne, at least not yet.
Yeah. Do you think Paula cares?
No, I think Paula's playing the game for some reason. So that's the other thing.
She says she wants to be with Miles no matter who he is. He just wants the physical person.
But she switches over to that so quickly, from being afraid in the hospital to, okay, master. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was
Hail Satan.
Believable for her character to make such a switch. The whole thing with Bill wasn't necessary. They could have had one conversation, not that whole thing at the beach.
Yeah, it would be more realistic if she decided to make a deal with the devil to get her daughter back.
Yeah. I agree. Or like I said, if Miles had made the original deal, somehow he could be in there, but not.
Yeah. It's cray.
It's just a little, like I said, it's a little slapped together. And I think your analysis of it being either a made for TV movie or a limited series, you could see where the commercials could go very easily in it.
All right. What'd you think of the pianist cocktail, Karen?
I like it.
That's good.
I think it's very refreshing.
It is very healthy too. All that
fruit in there.
Fruit and berry juice.
I don't know why it's called the pianist, but
I don't either. But it fits the movie, so that's all I care about.
And it's a nice color. It's a nice color for Halloween,
It is. I really like the color. I even mentioned it during the YouTube video that it's a very lovely shade of purple. Very dark purple.
Yes.
All right. Anything we learned today?
What did we learn? We learned about Juilliard, mariachi bands, pianists' hand size, leukemia. You had some information about the producer.
Yeah, whatever. Minor things. Are we ready to move on to the next film, Karen?
I'm ready for sure. And that would be yours. So what have you chosen?
Is it my choice already? The film I have chosen is The Mummy from 1959.
Is there a reason you chose that?
There is, Karen. Our next episode comes out September 18th. The Mummy was released September 25th, so a week later.
Do you have a drink to go along with it?
I do, Karen.
And what's that?
It's a cocktail I found called The Mummy.
Oh.
See what I did there, Karen?
Yes. How do we make such a thing?
So we're going to need vodka, triple sec, lemon juice, and club soda. We're going to mix 2 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce triple sec, and 1 tablespoon lemon juice in an old-fashioned glass, half filled with ice, and we're going to top with club soda and stir. Sounds like a mummy to me.
Sure.
All right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
I'd like to thank our listener. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We appreciate when you spend time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
Karen, I am once again going to thank the people of the Keystone State.
Pennsylvania's stepping up again?
Yes, they made up 44% of our downloads this past week.
Ooh, that's a lot. What's wrong with those people?
I don't know. But if you would like your state mentioned here, tell your friends and neighbors. Maybe you could, win that week. And of course, the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Don't make deals with the devil. And please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.